mean, obviously, social media is a big part of what you guys do, StarKid and everything else. And, you know, obviously these people, they meet online and they can meet in person, but giving them like a specific place to go to support each other is, I think, just a genius idea.
Oh, thanks.
And,
that's what we were going for. So
Yeah.
We're going for genius.
we're going for genius.
Success. Do you, and obviously you had the fans, do you think that if, you know, so like by some weird incidents, like none of you had been in StarKid, do you think that there would have been a form of this still? If you guys were still friends and you still wanted to do something like this?
You know, I do think so.
Yeah, it's definitely something that, just speaking for myself, I've been passionate about since, you know, especially since getting out of high school and kind of reflecting on that time. It probably would have been a lot more difficult because if we weren't in StarKid, I don't think we would all be living in the same place. And, you know, it's like all these things kind of fell into place because we happened to work for the same company and everything. So it probably would have happened in some way, but probably in a very different way from how it is now. That's what I would.
Well, and I think I always think of it too as like we had you know, StarKid gave us this platform that we could address, but like we really, really hope that it expands and that we get girls that have nothing to do, you know what I mean, that we have no association with, and perhaps they'll never have an association with. Like, we would love it to expand so that it is just this general thing. We never wanted it to be something that was geared toward StarKid. It's just, those were the people that we already had a connection to, so we said, we started this new thing, here's who we're going to send it to first. But, you know, doing things like this, and I think hopefully we'll do other things that help us to advertise to other girls and say, hey, we started this thing, like, what do you think?
Yeah, and that was a big reason why we wanted to do this, because we figured, you know, obviously the StarKid fans are amazing.
Oh yeah.
Speaking
Yeah, they are.
But obviously you want to expand and you want to get bigger, and this is a great way. We obviously want to help you guys do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is so cool.
About the fan base itself, part of what makes this so incredible is that in getting to know a lot of the fans over just through the course of StarKid, they're so supportive of one another, and like just the amount of love like they foster and just they just will go to the ends of the earth, literally, to meet up with each other and to support each other and be there as friends. And so being able to provide a way for them to then meet, because so many girls come to me and will often tell me, you know, we met from StarKid and we didn't have anyone else who was like me, and I didn't know there was anyone else out there who had the same interests or was going through the same struggles. So to kind of use our platform to help them connect with each other.
It's kind of taking the passion that they have for StarKid and giving them another outlet.
Absolutely.
To you know, talk to each other and you guys talked about, you know, meeting each other. You guys want to do events. I know that much. Is there? Can you want to talk about like where you want to see it go and if you guys know?
So something that we've talked a lot about that we want to see for Glow in the future is obviously, you know, expanding the audience that we can reach, and we want to do a lot. We want to get to do live events so we can have girls actually, you know, meet each other and feel like, you know, the live energy from people. And something that we really want to do is, you know, there are so many great organizations for young girls and women that are going on that we would love to somehow link up with them and partner with them and do things so that, you know, ultimately we can create this like big web of just support that kind of spreads across all
giant
mediums.
hug.
Exactly.
Well, you know, and crossing the different resources that other organizations have with what we have, and I think when we built it, like the biggest thing we kept saying, we were like, what is this that we want to make? Because it was hard in the beginning. We said, you know, it's like a community center. If we could build it in the physical form, it would be a community center. And so we built it in an internet sense. And that's what we wanted to be, a place where they come together. And once they're there, all kinds of stuff happens within it. But we just need to build the place.
The hub.
We just, you know, if you build it, they will come. And that's like kind of, I think, how we had it in the beginning. We were like, let's just give a place and like and tell people that this place exists, and let's see what they start adding to it and how it builds out of that. And I'm glad we left it a little open-ended because it surprised us in a good way. It's, you know what I mean? It's been exciting to see how they've
response to it's been amazing.
It's been incredible. And we wanted to, you know, for our audience to also have a say in what it becomes, you know, because it's for them. So we didn't want to be too rigid about like it's this and this and this.
Yeah.
Because
Right, yeah.
we want it to work for our audience, so we want them to call the shots.
Right.
Right. And to have an ownership over it. a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You were talking about how you don't feel like you have, you know, any sort of way to say I have more experience than this person, but obviously you have so many young girls who look up to you. And do you guys feel that you have a sense to be a responsibility to be a role model to these girls? Is that the sort of any reasoning behind it, or
Yeah, you
do
know.
do you want to be a role model, or do you even feel like you
Well,
are?
I think it kind of goes back to like what we were saying before with living up to your post and what
Yeah.
you say.
Right.
Is that, you know, if I'm gonna write a post and I personally don't believe in it, then it's already flawed inherently, because it's like you really, and it takes work, I think, to find what you believe in and kind of question yourself. And you know, by asking those questions at the end, I don't know the answer. We're not, you know, scholars on this or professionals in any sense. It's just things that, you know, we personally question about ourselves. And so, you know, to kind of force yourself to do good and have positivity kind of makes you someone in a sense that, you know, I would want to look up to someone that is positive. And so it's just, it kind of works both ways in that because we know we have girls looking up to us, I have to be extra cognizant of how I'm acting, what I'm putting out in the world, and what I believe in. And then it, in turn, you know, it just works in tandem. And
I think if there's anything that falls under a heading of like teaching anything or being a role model of anything is just consideration, and like in that in all sense of the forms, because not in all sense of the form of the word, but like I look at it as great people say mean things. Good people have mean thoughts.
Yep.
Good people get jealous. Good people get envious. Good people feel like hurt, left out, feel a lot.
Yeah.
And for me, Glow has been take that extra 5 seconds to think about like what you posted today or what you read today, and like, are you doing it? And like, I think it's become a place where we are learning to be someone better than who we already are, and like becoming more of that type of person, because I always look at like people in the world that I think are great, you know, like quote unquote like great good people, and really what it is like they just take the extra moments to like control themselves, to think like, is what actually coming out of my mouth right now like hurtful, mean, disrespectful, and it doesn't make you a bad person. And we all say those
Makes you
things
human.
constantly, but it's like, but if you can eliminate 20% of those, eliminate 30% of
or even
those,
just be aware that you
right?
have
Or even just be
Yeah.
aware that you're saying it and go, God, you know, today I really like unleashed. Like I don't want to do that for
Today
the
I got
next
spit
X amount
at
of
and I
days,
almost
right? Yeah.
went off on a guy.
On someone else or yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or yourself, right? Julia talks about that a lot, like going off on yourself. It's like the same thing too.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
suck. I
Yeah.
messed this up today. I, you know,
Yeah.
etc.
Something that Jamie, you mentioned about, you say, you know, when you post a question, you don't always know the answer. I
Yeah.
think that's great, because I don't want to look
Yeah.
up to someone who's like, I know everything and I'm perfect.
Yeah.
You know, I
How can you relate to that?
yeah, you know, it's not totally unrelatable.
Well, and I think
you
that's
guys are all flawed. We're all flawed.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
Yeah.
that's what's so human and relatable about it, is that you guys were saying, this is what I thought about today. This is something that I went through. I don't know the answer. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Well,
you know, and that's what's so great about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where some of the accountability comes into place,
Yeah.
where it's like if these girls are saying to us, we look up to you, we look up to you, we look up to you, then I personally feel a responsibility to say, okay, then I owe you a degree of honesty, and I owe you the
Honesty.
truth.
That's
Because if
Yeah.
you're gonna look
Yeah.
up to me, you should know that I haven't always been perfect.
Right.
It hasn't always been easy.
Yeah.
I didn't have this miracle. You know what I mean? Like I have bad days. I have good days. I've had days where I've not been very good at things. You know, and so that they can go, oh, she's gone through the same stuff I've gone through. Therefore, it's an honest
It's an
role
honest
model.
thing.
That's
They're not
if you're-
perfect. I don't have to be perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing, it's in society, and I like to believe that we're progressing away from this, but I feel like in American society especially, it's always been like girls dream to be like Miss America, or like there's this
Princess.
aspiration. Yeah, it's like girls
Or
want to be
perfection.
princesses,
Which is
or like
fine.
perfection. Yeah, especially if you want to be.
I think
Ariel.
it's princesses.
But no, it's just like it's ingrained in society as this thing to be like prim and proper and like girly girl and you know beautiful and I
Well,
don't
society
know.
has a really damaged image
Yes.
of what beauty
Yeah.
is, you know.
And it's about embracing the imperfections more, and more people can relate to imperfections than they can, you know, Barbie's figure and
Right.
stuff like that. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's unrealistic.
I think it's gotten worse too, actually. Like, I almost feel like our generation, it's like we almost are like on a cusp of that getting really bad. And then I feel like even just 2 years younger than us, it's like overwhelming.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of mixed messages.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Yeah.
so many mixed messages. It's all about like girls are always everyone's always saying like, you're beautiful, you're fierce, who runs the world, girls. But
Yeah.
then there's like all these other conflicting images
Right,
and,
yeah.
and messages.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
you're
hard,
so
yeah.
amazing and powerful
Yeah.
and hot.
So yeah,
Yeah.
boobs.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard though because I feel it on both ends. Because on one end, it's like we all deserve this like. I always want to talk about this permission to be imperfect. You know, like I have days where I screw up. I have days where I look a freaking mess. Like you know what I mean. We have those. But then on the same sense, I think when it comes back to certain things like compassion and consideration and decency, I've had this overwhelming feeling lately of like we should be trying to get better as people. Like
Right,
we've got to get
right.
better because we're rude.
Yeah.
We're like we've become rude. We're inconsiderate. We're just
Spit
like
at people.
we
I
spit at
mean,
people on the street.
Right?
We're just, you know, people have become kind of like shitty, excuse my language, sometimes.
Right.
We're just, and it's like the
Yeah.
basic stuff we can't seem to get.
Right.
But the really big stuff, we expect absolute perfection.
Right.
It's like, you have to look like this or else you're
Yep.
nothing.
But
But
it's like-
if you can't, you can't, but
Yeah.
we'll forgive you if you don't say please and thank you.
Yeah.
It's like, let's get the little stuff. You know,
Sorry.
let's like get the little
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
right first. Let's start being nice to people, and
Just
then
be
we can
nice.
deal with like the other stuff.